Sulky was a contestant on season 2 of Netflix's Korean dating show Singles Inferno, and much like Gia from season 1, whom I've already done a few videos on, Sulky was equally popular amongst the men from her respective season, with the majority of them choosing her in the end. And whilst Gia's magnetic appeal feels sultry or siren-like, Sulky's energy is noticeably different with a more pure and innocent essence, which makes her come across as the ultimate girl next door. So in this video, we are going to discuss Sulky's behavior and the mindset which makes up this extremely magnetic girl next door-like essence. And the first thing is that Sulky embodies the core feminine mindsets with absolute mastery. There are many ways to exude femininity, a big one which is dressing and looking the part, which all of the girls on the show typically have down to a T. However, the depths of feminine energy extend far beyond visual perception, with arguably the most essential traits being able to let go of control as well as staying in your receiving energy, especially in correlation with men, which Sulky persistently does to literal perfection. To illustrate, during the show, both Sulky and Nadine take an interest in Dongwoo, and while Nadine handles this by being honest, upfront, and actionable, Sulky takes the opposite approach and just leans back. She simply enjoys talking to Dongwoo and waits for a potential opportunity to arise. An opportunity that she knows inevitably comes because they'll all soon have to choose someone to go to paradise with. But Sulky doesn't try to control the outcome. Instead, she receives the chance to go out with him when it naturally comes her way. The scenario with Dongwoo is one example, but Sulky approaches other situations in a similar manner, including in her later interactions with Yin-young. Even though the two were deeply attracted to one another, nothing ever came of it, because neither of them gave in to taking on the masculine energy of their dynamic. But having feminine or receiving energy means knowing that what is yours may come to you, and if it's to be obtained with force or chasing, then it's not for you. In the case of Sulky and Yin-young, she waited for him to step into the yang of the dynamic, but that day never came, and Sulky never gave in to take over for him. In situations such as the one with Yin-young, which is an example of a man in his feminine energy hoping that you will chase him, so many women will resolve to do just that. They'll quickly give in to the urge to take control of the situation because the man in question is taking too long to their liking to make a move. They give in and by that step into the yang of the dynamic. But if you want to be one who doesn't chase but attracts and remain in your feminine energy with men, you have to stick by that also when it's difficult. Masculine energy takes on the opposite form of leaning back and instead goes to work for what it wants. And someone has to assume that energy between the two, but Sulky never does, which is very feminine. You may wonder if Sulky wouldn't have been better off just giving in and being the one to make things happen between the two, but it's crucial to remember that that would in all likelihood mean getting stuck in this dynamic with him forever. And if you want the feminine energy role, you can't do that. It's crucial to note though that even though feminine energy is receptive, being receptive doesn't mean being passive. Being receptive means you still make an effort to be friendly and, most importantly, inviting. Just because you are the receptive party of an exchange, that doesn't mean you have to be aloof or uninvolved or keep your interest in someone a secret. Being passive and being receptive are two very different things. And the next thing is that Sulky comes across as very pure, and this pure essence contributes majorly to that girl next door vibe. In the West, we often correlate words such as innocent and pure pertaining to an adult with something sexual in nature and then let us offend by it, which I think is quite narrow-minded, because being quote-unquote pure can be attributed to many aspects, such as being pure-hearted or having pure intents. And Sulky just seems good-natured. Generally, throughout the show, we see her being polite, friendly, warm, and non-combative. As time passes and we grow older, the negative things we see and experience tend to harden us. But most detrimental is it when the hurt we collect turns us bitter, and we then project that outwards through our reactions and assumptions. If left unchecked, this bitterness leads to more negative experiences, continuing and strengthening this cycle, keeping us bitter, also in correlation with romance and men. You occasionally see examples of this in Western dating shows where women allow themselves to be victimized and then respond with big negative reactions when they believe they are treated unfairly or when the man they're interested in fails to meet their expectations. It's usually better to observe and judge and let a man unfold in front of you and then stay or walk away accordingly, and by that protect your heart instead of indulging yourself in getting caught up in his negative behaviors and turning negative yourself. I have an entire video about goddess energy, and some of the main things to look out for are letting go of negative thought patterns and using strong discernment to judge for yourself and walk away when you are met with disrespect. Of course, it is beneficial to state your boundaries, but stating your boundaries and getting angry and lashing out aren't the same thing. My viewpoint is that being pure means staying largely unaffected by the hurt you go through to the point of not letting it pollute your heart with bitterness. A trait which is anything but easy to cultivate, but is essential for this pure girl next door like essence that Silky has as an adult. Bitterness is naturally developed in an attempt to protect ourselves from future hurt, but it's not that helpful to us or pleasant to deal with for that matter. However, we do of course have to look out for ourselves somehow, and in my opinion, Silky does this incredibly well by quiet discernment and judging. The next thing that makes Silky attractive is her willingness to walk away. Silky is initially interested in Dongwoo, but after getting to know him better during their trip to paradise, she decides he's not a good match for her and walks away from their early romantic connection. And the willingness to walk away from something or someone has the basis in an abundance mindset, and an abundance mindset is attractive. For perspective, when someone with a lack mindset gets involved with someone they like, but later realizes that that person might not be the best match for them, instead of then walking away, they start creating a false image of that person in their head. They then try to twist reality and change the person into someone who would be a good match for them, all while continuing to date them and secretly wishing they were completely different. That's the lack mentality at work. A person with an abundance mindset faced with the same dilemma would simply accept reality and choose to move on, understanding that there are other opportunities for meaningful connections awaiting them. And although the act of walking away always marks the very end of a connection with someone, it is essential to keep in mind that people can always sense your energy. So even if you're not currently walking out this very moment, others can intuitively sense whether you possess the readiness to do so or not. Being willing to walk away is attractive because it reflects several appealing qualities we look for in people, such as self-respect, self-worth, high standards, and an abundance mindset. But most importantly, it is a healthy approach that helps protect you from disrespect and from ending up with the wrong person, which again protects you from reasons to become bitter, so that goes full circle. I hope you enjoyed this video on Silky. For more resources such as coaching or a powerful course helping you to develop your own feminine energy, check out my link in the description below. Thank you for watching and subscribe to my channel for more.